Thank you. That moves us down to item 13A, the fiscal year 2021 budget process.
Mr. Mayor, Council, as part of your packet for tonight's meeting was a draft copy of the proposed budget fiscal year 2021. Currently, we have $39,305,820 in revenue, and we have budgeted expenditures of $39,636,521 for a budgeted shortfall of $330,701. As the council report, Tom and I will be receiving questions from council. They will be anonymous, so ask as many questions as you want. And we will present them to you at the May 4th, 2020 meeting. We'll discuss these questions, answers, a more in-depth presentation. And I'm sure you've heard a lot of doom and gloom lately with the virus. This budget will probably be amended and revised, I would say 10 to 20 times between now and the end of the fiscal year, June 30th of 2021. I didn't want to get in the weeds or too much discussion. There's so much uncertainty right now, the revenue sharing, the gasoline tax. Until this gets sorted out and kind of evens out, there's no way to know where this is going to go. So I ask council and mayor to be patient, but go ahead and ask questions. But we will at the next meeting on May 4th answer the questions and ask you to develop and set a public hearing for May 18th. On May 18th, we hope to adopt the proposed budget. Answer any questions.
John, could you share on the general fund? I know the numbers you gave were on all funds, but the general fund is always the one that we worry the most about, knowing that there's going to be changes. I know there was a webinar today, but the budget that they have in front of them, can you give a little feel for that?
Sure. For general fund itself, we're budgeting $7,413,326 in revenues and the same amount in expenditures for a difference of $0. If you look on, and I don't have page numbers here, there's a page that's called All Fund Revenues. You'll see that there's a general fund subtotal. Then you'll see the Merlac Building, Recreation, Farmers Market, and Airport, with a total general fund of $8,695,507. The Merlac, Rec, Farmers Market, Airport, the way it's presented in the budget that way, or the reason why it's presented that way, is when our audit comes out, those other four funds are part of our general fund presentation in the audit. So that's why they're included here, just so they kind of match up, and you can kind of look at the budget and match it up to the audit itself. But again, general fund, there's no deficit. The real question in the general fund will be revenue sharing, with the sales tax being a portion of that. And until we get some guidance or some funding out of Washington, D.C., we will be amending this budget. And I would foresee either monthly or bi-monthly, we will possibly be in a position to have work sessions. It could be the most bizarre, unknown budget city marshals ever adopted. We just don't know. I don't know.
So, John, just to clarify, to ask questions, send you a list of questions?
Yeah, send it to me or Tom, and we're going to just put it in a question and answer format.
Okay.
And, we'll send it out with the May 4th packet.
Okay.
I'll submit the meeting on May 4th.
Thank you.
Also would like to add one thing is, back in March, if you remember, the Department of Treasury requested us to do a deficit elimination plan. The
Yes.
budget that you received takes that into account.
Okay.
I know it's, you know, as you mentioned, it's all going to be very speculative, but are we getting any indication from electric if we're going to have issues with accounts or demand?
John, you're gonna you've been in contact with people over the last month.
I think that's the next step for the directors, is to sit down and formulate a strict plan. Because there's gonna be a lot of people that are not gonna go back to work right away. And we cannot have the cash flow. We can't let them ride. But we need to get in a position to set up some payment plans that are fair and adhere to them. I mean, we just can't keep let people float once this starts to evolve and change a little bit. And I don't know what that looks like. My biggest concern between now and say August, when tax revenue starts coming in, is our cash flow.
Yeah.
It's going to be tight. It's going to be very, very tight, to be honest with you. So if we know that we're down in a revenue or some area, we need to react and react quickly.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions for John at this time regarding the budget?
So John, when do you need questions by?
April 29th.
Okay.
And I'm sure that we all do have questions, but we all get questions in timely.
And like I said, they will be anonymous. So hopefully that will generate more questions and ease everybody's mind. Because like I said, this is scary times, and this is almost frightening.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to take a look at this a little bit before and put together some questions. That certainly will make it easier for all of us to start understanding what we're up against. So if at this time, if we don't have any further questions on the budget, am I hearing any? This is an informational report, so no action is needed. So we will go ahead and move on to item 13B, the street improvement program.
Can I ask one more question first?
Sure.
John, how come the Q&A is anonymous? I mean, what does that matter? We would have asked the question anyway, right?
I just was hoping it would generate more questions. I know sometimes when we get into the work session on the budget, I always got the impression that people wanted to ask questions, but nobody wanted to go first. So I just wanted to make that a possibility. Maybe get a lot of questions, maybe get no questions. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
All right, thank you. Tom, could you lead us in the street improvement program?
I'll start, and then I'm going to turn it over to Marguerite. Am I still on? Okay, thank you. You don't just hold your slide there. We felt this winter has been really hard on our streets, and with the freeze thaw. So the director team got together and looked at how bad they really are, and it was surprising how bad they really are. So I'm going to have Marguerite sort of present these couple slides she has.
Sorry, Marguerite, we can't hear you.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Hello. I got too many.
I think you just muted yourself again, Marguerite.
Okay. Can everyone hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. As Tom mentioned, we drove all the streets in the city. I think it was early March, late February, to assess the conditions of the road after the multiple freeze-thaw cycles of the winter. It was a difficult winter on infrastructure in the ground and surface infrastructure across the board. So we wanted to see what things looked like. During our assessment, Eric, you can move forward one slide, please. We identified about 10.6 miles that needed to be rehabilitated or reconstructed, mostly rehabbed, and with rehab, we looked at mill and pave as the main amount of work we've outlined here. Again, recent deterioration seemed to accelerate some of the marginal roads into worse bad roads. We currently already had 2.8 miles of repairs planned through various grants. And so, like I said, we ended up with 10.6 miles for more repair. Of the 10.6 miles, you'll see there the 2019 pager ratings were broken down into poor, fair, and good, as described. You know, pretty evenly spread between between poor and fair. So we really saw that kind of hit home, that we saw roads that were not in great shape in 2019, but not awful, got worse, and the freeze thaw again did a number on them. Next slide, please, Eric. So funding the various repairs. We have a number of different ways that we're looking at funding repairs. We have some applications in, and we have some applications that need to be completed still. We have MDOT grants. We have a small urban application that has been funded for the fiscal year 21 that requires a 20% city match. And then we are looking, we're going to apply for a TEDF grant that requires a 5% city match on a portion of a road. Liggett Road down in the industrial area needs significant repair, full reconstruction. There are some stormwater issues there. So we are looking at doing a special assessment on the property owners for that road. It's a small section of road, industrial users, and to try and get that road functioning correctly and managing the stormwater. Also down in the industrial road, industrial areas, Oliver Road, we worked up a quick estimate on that and talked with LDFA. Tom coordinated that. They are willing to fund the rehab on that road, so that's very helpful. And the remaining number of repairs, we would like to issue a bond for, and levy one additional mill to pay for that bond. That would fund the remaining repairs that we're looking at. Eric, can you go, actually, can you go back one slide? I forgot to mention here, and after seeing that previous slide, it's good to see these are in the red. Here's the various 10.6 miles. You can see it's spread out throughout the city. Like I said, we have some work down in the industrial park. North, south, east, west, it's pretty evenly distributed. So we think that's good for the residents, and and we're doing improvements throughout the city. Okay, Eric, 2 slides, please. So the big item here is this bond. We would like to pay for it, like I said, by increasing levying one additional mill. It would need to be adopted as part of the budget on May 18th. We currently have levied 17.1 mills with a maximum possible mills of 18.4. So I will also invite John to comment on this when I'm done, but that's where we're at. Are there any questions at this point?
I do have a quick question. One street that I noticed is not in red is Mansion, right there past the hospital and Wright Medical Building. And I just hard to believe that stretch of road is not considered very poor.
Yes, correct. Mansion is part of the small urban grant that we're getting, and is not highlighted on here because we did not identify it in our review because it was already being completed in fiscal year 21 as part of that grant.
Excellent, thank you.
So everything in red there would be done in 2020, is that correct?
No, we would, my plan, our thoughts are to identify groupings of areas that we would put out for bid, and we would probably do this over a 3-year period, maybe 2 years. In the last slide, I have next steps, and I need to refine some of the costs still and prioritize the repairs and figure out where our efficiencies would be as far as putting things out to bid.
And the Liggett Road and the industrial park, was that discussed with the LDFA as well?
Liggett
Tom, can
is
you
not, sure, absolutely. Liggett is not part of the LDFA.
Okay.
Okay, next slide, 2 slides, Eric, please. So as I mentioned, moving forward, we have some more work to do on the engineering side. John, I'll be working with John on the bond side, but really informational, the information I wanted to present in this, at this point was we are hoping to get that bond, that additional mill approved with the May 18th budget. Any
Okay.
other questions at this time?
I'm just wondering how much of that work is contingent on that bond and that additional mill being passed, and how much would be able to be completed if that were not passed?
That's a good question. I don't have that in detail. We do, with the grants that we have already won, we have most of our revenue sharing accounted for the next couple of years with those projects. So it would be minimal that we would be able to get something additional done. I'm not going to say nothing, but
And that being a 3-year plan, I'm assuming by next year, your red lines would multiply, correct? So is that, how does this take into account future roads going into needing repair?
that's another great question. Our hope would be that we can repair all the roads that would need to be repaired over that 3-year period based on our assessment that we did several weeks ago. We also want to do the repairs with the bond funds and still maintain our other revenue sharing for maintenance that we would do to keep up the roads that are in fair condition now and keep them going longer.
Eric, could you take down the PowerPoint? Thank you. It's been hard to work on this program when we're all remoted, so we can't have those team meetings as easy as we usually could. we wanted to present this, and then really want you to talk about it on the 4th. Think about it. I know you all, when you're running for office or anytime we have a chance, people bring up the roads. It is something we've never levied a millage. I know Emmett Township is doing 75 miles of their roads through a millage. Fredonia, we have not done that. So we would basically work off of some of our Act 51 monies. Is really the only funds we would have. And probably of that 10 miles, we could maybe do a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile a year. So in effect, we would never get caught up. It just has been a bad year. One of the other things that is affecting this, I didn't go back, but back in 1995, we had a huge water main project all around town. I can't remember how many miles. I think now those streets are 25 years old, and we're seeing it's time for their repairs. And we haven't locked these streets in. That's why you didn't see an actual list of every street. There may be other ones that drop in, drop out once we start looking at it. But we really wanted you to look at this. I know no one likes raising millage. I mean, we all, but to really take care of our streets, this is about the only way, that we could come up with. Otherwise, we would, keep patching, and patching again is patching.
Yeah, Tom, I know that we've talked about this for a number of years. This doesn't surprise me that we're in this situation. Kristen talked quite a bit about her concerns around how we were funding road repairs going forward. So not a surprise that we're seeing this, for me at least. John, I know in the past when we've talked about potentially leveraging a millage, we've had some scenarios for sort of how it would impact a typical household. That might be helpful to have for the May council meeting too.
Maybe I believe the mayor maybe have asked me this question, or someone did. I'm not sure what the typical home in the community is. I know my house is valued under 200,000, but just using 200,000, it's taxed on 100,000. So 1 mil would cost me about $100 a year.
Which 2 people is a lot, especially right now.
It is, there's no question, this is some of the harder times that we have. But we've been, Marguerite's new to this, but, Kristen was very successful applying for grants. But everybody else is out there too. So, so this, we wanted to present it. We were hoping to present it earlier to you, but it's just been difficult to really get this together until tonight. So, again, this would be another one to ask questions on, and I would like to have a real thorough discussion at our next meeting if you desire.
I think that would be a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here also, if there's anything you can think of about this, and like I said, don't hold that map. We're going to look at these streets again. There was, I think it was just a couple days ago, there was a street on the list that should not have been on the list, and there was one that was missing. So we got to really refine it to see which ones actually, get done first, or some of them may not even need, maybe just some minor work.
All right, and maybe if Eric can share that presentation that he or Marguerite put together to the council, that might be helpful in us putting together our questions that we have for this project.
Well, there is one more question, and since we're talking about streets, do we know what's going on downtown?
No. Marguerite, I asked you this question sometime over the weekend. I think, why don't you go ahead and what you last heard?
Right. So no new communication for well over a month now. The plan is for it to be paved sometime after July 4th and before the end of the season.
You broke up, Marguerite, but by the end of the season is that what you were saying?
Yes,
Is that,
sometime after July 4th and before the end of the season.
has that been discussed lately, or is that like last year's plan?
That was sometime in February. It was pre-COVID-19.
Is this being communicated like I know they rescheduled Blues Fest for what, third week of August? You know, is there or do they have a contingency plan if they can't have Michigan Ave?
Well, it's been postponed, and that's a speculative date that the DDA has put out there. But you know, we'll have to work with MDOT, and it's so difficult because people aren't in the offices. And but the other problem is I do not know if Reith Riley has settled their strike.
I do believe that I saw that they were starting a project over near Albion here in the next week or so. So I believe they are back to work. So that's good news for us.
Good. Marguerite, will you email our contact at MDOT and just see if there is a date scheduled?
Yeah, definitely.
The other thing now with Blues Fest being postponed and no Memorial Day parade, this could open up a bigger window for them too.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right. Any other questions for Tom or Marguerite on the street improvement program? All right, I appreciate the information, and we'll definitely take a look at this and start to gather questions for the next meeting. There's no action needed on this as it's an informational report, so that will move us on to public comment on non-agenda items. Anyone wishing to address the council may do so, just stating your name and address for the record.
Attendees, you'll have to hit your chat button so to notify us that you wish to comment.
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
All right, seeing and hearing no public comment on non-agenda items, we will move to council and manager communications. Member Traver.
I have nothing, thanks.
Member Underhill.
Nothing for me.
Member Metzger.
Well, I did have a virtual meeting with the ambulance authority, and definitely their business is suffering as well because nobody's going to the hospital. And obviously the hospital knows that is what's happening with them, but you know, it's a tumbling effect, and we'll see how that plays out.
Thank you. Member McNeil.
Nothing for me.
Member Wolfersberger.
We did have a Northeast Neighborhood Improvement Authority meeting this month to get our budget passed. We did get a brief update from Krista at the Land Bank that she did delay the process for getting bids returned from the contractors that had been interested. She's hoping to open that back up here, and or she was hoping to open it back up in April. I would imagine now that she's looking at May. You know, obviously as with everything else, everything's very speculative and changing daily. So we'll hopefully that project still moves forward. But obviously there's a lot of question marks.
All right, thank you. Member Gates.
Just want to thank everybody for all they're doing during this difficult time, and hope you all stay safe and well, and hope to see you all in person soon.
That would be lovely.
Definitely.
I can
Thank you.
honestly say I miss everybody.
It looks warm down there where you are, though, Nick.
You know, it is so warm and I hate the heat. I really do.
Clerk Nelson,
I have nothing, thank you.
thank you. Manager Tarkowitz,
The only thing I'd like to thank Michelle for trying to keep up with us on the closed captioning. So thank you, Michelle.
yes, thank you, Michelle. I just wanted,
Mayor, one of our attendees has their hands up.
okay. So let's open it up for public comment for Mr. Paul Davis.
Looks like you're on mute, Paul.
Eric, is he
There
open?
you go.
He's unmuted, at least on our end.
Hello?
Mr. Davis?
Okay, the only question I had is, will these be available as so that if someone wants to watch at a later date, they can do that?
Yes, I have been recording this meeting, and we can put that up somewhere, but we are also, I'm playing with it, and we'll be trying to send it live to YouTube next time.
All right, that was the only one to check on. Thanks.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. All right, I just wanted to mention that our local fountain, along with many other landmarks across the United States, are being lit up blue to honor and support essential workers during the pandemic. So just wanted you to know that that's happening here in town. Just to make sure you follow the city's Facebook page along with all of our other city services like police and fire for updates on what's happening. We posted today that brush pickup is going to be starting on May 4th. Hydrant flushing is currently taking place throughout the city. So if you follow our city Facebook pages, you can keep up on that information. I also wanted to just let everyone know that MADA, Marshall Area Economic Development Alliance, is a great resource for all the different programs available for businesses at this time. So please, if you have a local business or have questions about what's happening in the business world, they are a great resource. You can check on their Facebook page or sign up for their emails. That being said, I will seek a motion to enter into closed session under Section 8C of the Open Meetings Act to discuss strategy for a collective bargaining agreement.
So moved.
Support.
A motion and support. Motion was by Member Metzger, support by Member Wolfersberger.
McNeil.
McNeil, sorry. We will do a roll call vote, please.
Member Traver,
Yes.
Member Underhill,
Yes.
Member Wolfersberger,
Yes.
Mayor Karen,
Yes.
Member Gates,
Yes.
Member McNeil,
Yes.
Member Metzger.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. If everyone takes a look at their email, they will have the link to go into the closed session Zoom. And we will continue from there. Thank you.